There comes a moment when you must ask yourself, do I truly respect who I am? Not the version of you that pleases others, not the version of you that conforms to expectations, but the real you, the one behind the mask, the one that wakes up every morning with dreams, with fears, with a voice that longs to be heard. Your self-worth is not up for debate. It is not something to be negotiated, questioned, or diminished based on the opinions of others. It is not determined by external validation, nor is it measured by your past mistakes or your future accomplishments. It simply is. It exists because you exist. The moment you start seeking approval, the moment you allow someone else to define your value, you hand over control of your life. And when you give away that power, you lose touch with who you truly are. Every thought you think about yourself is either reinforcing your self-worth or tearing it down. If you constantly doubt yourself, if you constantly look for permission to be who you are unknowingly shaping a version of yourself that is fragile, dependent, and easily influenced by the world around you. But when you stand firm in the belief that you are enough as you are, that belief begins to manifest in your reality. You stop chasing people who do not see your value. You stop trying to prove yourself to those who are unwilling to recognize your worth. You stop apologizing for existing. No one can take away something that you refuse to give up. The only way someone can make you feel less than you are is if you allow them to. The moment you internalize someone else's judgment, the moment you start believing that their opinion is more valid than your own, you lower yourself to a level where you no longer trust yourself. But you are not meant to shrink. You are not meant to be small. You are not meant to exist in a state of hesitation and doubt. You are here to take up space, to live unapologetically, and to walk through life knowing that you belong. Your self-worth is not up for debate because it is not something that fluctuates based on circumstances. It is not based on how many people like you, how much money you have, or how much success you achieve. Those things may change, but your worth does not. You were valuable before anyone ever acknowledged you. You were enough before you ever proved anything. You were worthy before you ever accomplished a single thing. And you will remain worthy regardless of what happens. The problem is, most people don't lose their self-worth, they simply forget it. They allow rejection to define them. They allow past failures to rewrite their identity. They let fear convince them that they are not enough. But you have the ability to remember. You have the ability to choose a different belief. You have the ability to remind yourself every single day that no one, no event, and no circumstance has the power to dictate your value. Your self-worth is not up for debate because the moment you decide that it is non-negotiable, everything changes. You begin to move differently, you speak differently, you carry yourself differently, and in doing so, you invite the world to see you as you truly are, unshakable, undeniable, and worthy beyond measure. Every single thought you think is shaping the reality you experience. Whether you realize it or not, your mind is constantly constructing the world around you. Your thoughts determine how you see yourself, how you interpret the world, and ultimately what you attract into your life. If you believe you are capable, if you believe you are worthy, if you believe that opportunities are always within reach, your actions will align with those beliefs. But if you tell yourself that you are not good enough, that success is reserved for others, that life is unfair, then your reality will reflect that limitation. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It responds to the images and emotions you feed it. If you constantly replay failure, rejection, and fear in your mind, your body will respond as if those experiences are happening now. You will feel anxious, hesitant, and stuck. But when you begin to shift your focus, when you start visualizing success, confidence, and strength, you create a new emotional state that aligns with those experiences. Your body begins to act in ways that bring those visions to life. What you focus on expands. When you dwell on problems, you see more obstacles. When you focus on solutions, you begin to recognize opportunities that were always there but hidden by your limited perception. The way you think creates the lens through which you experience life. Two people can face the same situation, yet one sees failure while the other sees a lesson. One feels defeated while the other feels motivated to grow. The difference is in their mindset, in the thoughts they choose to entertain. Your reality is not fixed. It is shaped by the beliefs you hold. The person who sees themselves as a victim of circumstances will always find proof that life is against them. But the person who sees every challenge as an opportunity to grow will always find a way to move forward. The external world is simply a mirror reflecting what is happening internally. If you are filled with self-doubt, the world will give you reasons to doubt yourself. But when you start believing in your own power, you will notice the world responding to that belief. This is not just about positive thinking, it is about rewiring your mind to create a reality that serves you instead of one that limits you. It requires awareness, discipline, and consistency. You must become conscious of the thoughts that run through your mind every day. Are they thoughts that empower you, or do they keep you small? Are they thoughts that push you forward, or do they hold you back? The moment you take responsibility for your thoughts is the moment you take control of your life. When you change the way you think, you change the way you feel. And when you change the way you feel, you change the way you act. Your actions, repeated over time, create the results you experience. This is how transformation happens. Not by waiting for life to change, but by changing yourself first. The world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. And when you begin to think differently, you will begin to see proof that your new reality is forming. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every extraordinary life began with a single thought, a thought that said, I can. A thought that refused to accept limitation, a thought that challenged the old ways of thinking and chose something new. The question is, what thoughts are you allowing to shape your life? Because whether you realize it or not, they are building your future right now. The way you set and enforce boundaries is a direct reflection of how much you respect yourself. Boundaries are not about pushing people away or shutting the world out. They are about defining the space in which you can thrive. When you establish clear boundaries, you send a message to yourself and to others that your time, energy, and well-being matter. Without them, you allow the world to dictate how you should live, and in doing so, you sacrifice your sense of self. People who respect themselves do not feel guilty about setting limits. They do not allow others to walk over them, manipulate them, or drain them emotionally. They understand that saying no is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of self-care. Every time you agree to something that goes against your values or makes you uncomfortable, you are teaching yourself that your needs are secondary. Over time, this erodes your confidence and leads to resentment. Not just toward others, but toward yourself for allowing it to happen. Boundaries are a form of self-protection. They create a structure that allows you to move through life with clarity and purpose. When you set a boundary, you are defining what is acceptable and what is not. You are deciding what kind of energy you allow into your space. If you tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or constant demands on your time, you are signaling that you do not value yourself enough to demand better. But the moment you set a firm boundary, you begin to attract relationships and experiences that align with your sense of self-worth. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection. They believe that if they set limits, they will be seen as difficult or unkind. But true respect from others and from yourself comes when you stand firm in what you know is right for you. The people who belong in your life will respect your boundaries. Those who do not respect them were never meant to stay. Letting go of those who disregard your limits is not a loss. It is a necessary step in creating a life where you are valued and honored. It is not enough to set boundaries. You must also enforce them. If you say that you will not tolerate disrespect but continuously allow it, you are teaching others that your words mean nothing. Your boundaries should be non-negotiable. They should not bend to convenience or be weakened by the fear of losing people. The more you honor your own limits, the stronger your self-respect becomes. You begin to move differently, speak differently, and carry yourself with a presence that commands respect, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. There will always be people who test your boundaries. They will push, manipulate, and try to make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. But remember, their discomfort is not your responsibility. You do not owe anyone an explanation for why you choose to honor yourself. The only person who needs to believe in the importance of your boundaries is you. When you respect yourself enough to enforce them, the world will learn to do the same. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. They are the foundation of a life built on self-respect. When you honor your own limits, you create an environment where you can grow, thrive, and become the person you were meant to be. And in doing so, you show others what it truly means to stand in your power. Every interaction you have with others teaches them how to treat you. Whether you realize it or not, your words, your actions, and the way you respond to situations create the standard for how people engage with you. If you allow disrespect, it continues. If you tolerate neglect, it persists. If you make excuses for mistreatment, it becomes normalized. But the moment you decide to set a higher standard, the moment you refuse to accept anything less than what you deserve, everything changes. People respond to the energy you bring into the world. If you carry yourself with confidence and self-respect, others will recognize that. If you stand firm in your worth, they will learn that you are not someone who can be manipulated or taken for granted. But if you consistently put your needs last, if you allow others to take advantage of your kindness, you are teaching them that your feelings do not matter. And once that lesson is learned, it becomes difficult to unteach. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control what you allow. The way you react to situations tells people what they can and cannot get away with. If someone disrespects you and you stay silent, you have given them permission to do it again. If someone takes advantage of you and you continue to be available, you have shown them that there are no consequences for their actions. But when you set clear boundaries, when you assert yourself with clarity and confidence, you shift the dynamic. You make it clear that you will not accept anything that diminishes your self-worth. Teaching people how to treat you is not about demanding respect, it is about embodying it. It is about showing through your actions that you value yourself enough to walk away from anything that does not align with your worth. It means refusing to entertain relationships that drain you, refusing to justify your boundaries, and refusing to shrink yourself for the comfort of others. The more you respect yourself, the more others will follow your lead. There will always be people who test your limits, who push against your boundaries, who try to convince you that your standards are too high. But that is not a reflection of you. It is a reflection of them. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always resist when you begin to enforce them. That is why self-respect requires courage. It requires the willingness to lose people who refuse to honor your worth. It requires the strength to stand alone rather than settle for relationships that diminish you. Every time you tolerate something that makes you uncomfortable, you are reinforcing a pattern. Every time you accept an apology without changed behavior, you are showing that words mean more than actions. Every time you stay silent when you should speak up, you are allowing someone else's comfort to take precedence over your own. But when you make the decision to set a new standard, when you commit to teaching others how to engage with you in a way that aligns with your worth, you shift your entire reality. Respect is not given freely, it is cultivated through consistency. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept, what you reinforce, and what you refuse to tolerate. The more you value yourself, the clearer it becomes to others that they must value you too. And in that clarity, you create a life where you are honored, respected, and surrounded by people who truly appreciate your presence. The way you see yourself determines the opportunities that come your way. Self-respect is not just about setting boundaries or demanding better treatment. It is about carrying yourself with the energy of someone who deserves success. When you respect yourself, you do not settle for less than what you are capable of achieving. You do not tolerate environments, relationships, or habits that pull you away from your potential. Instead, you move with purpose, confidence, and discipline, and that energy attracts the success you seek. Success is not just about talent or intelligence, it is about the way you show up for yourself every single day. When you respect yourself, you hold yourself accountable. You do not wait for motivation, nor do you rely on external validation. You commit to your goals, even when no one is watching, because you understand that your progress is your responsibility. People who respect themselves do not waste time on excuses. They do not let fear or doubt dictate their choices. They take action because they trust in their ability to figure things out along the way. The world responds to the standard you set for yourself. If you carry yourself with self-doubt, if you shrink in the face of challenges, if you allow others to determine your worth, success will always feel out of reach. But when you walk into every situation with the belief that you belong, when you refuse to entertain anything that diminishes your value, you create an environment where success becomes inevitable. People are drawn to confidence, to certainty, to those who exude a sense of purpose. When you respect yourself, you naturally attract the right connections, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances that align with your vision. Success also requires discipline, and discipline is an extension of self-respect. When you truly respect yourself, you do not engage in habits that weaken you. You do not allow procrastination, self-sabotage, or negativity to take control. You wake up with a sense of determination because you understand that every action you take is a reflection of the standards you have set for your life. The people who achieve the highest levels of success are not the ones who wait for the perfect moment. They are the ones who consistently show up even when it is hard, even when no one is cheering them on. Self-respect also influences the relationships you allow into your life. If you do not respect yourself, you will attract people who reinforce that lack of respect. But when you carry yourself with confidence and clarity, you naturally filter out relationships that do not serve you. You surround yourself with people who uplift you, who challenge you, who push you to become better. Success is not just about what you do, it is also about who you choose to have around you. The higher your standards, the stronger your environment becomes. When you truly respect yourself, you stop seeking approval from the outside world. You no longer wait for someone to validate your dreams. You no longer allow setbacks to define you. You develop the mindset of someone who is already successful, and as a result, success begins to manifest in your life. The opportunities, the breakthroughs, the wins, they are all a byproduct of the way you see yourself. The more you respect yourself, the more you attract the success that aligns with that self-worth. At the core of every great achievement is an individual who believed in themselves before anyone else did. The people who rise to the top are the ones who refuse to settle, who demand more from themselves, who wake up every day committed to their growth. When you embody self-respect in everything you do, success does not just become possible, it becomes inevitable. Real transformation begins the moment you accept yourself as you are. Too often, people chase growth by rejecting who they are, believing they must become someone entirely different to be worthy of success, happiness, or fulfillment. But real growth is not about escaping yourself. It is about embracing yourself. It is about looking at where you are with honesty, acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses, and deciding to move forward with intention. Without self-acceptance, growth becomes an endless battle, a constant attempt to prove something to the world instead of evolving from a place of self-awareness. Self-acceptance does not mean settling. It does not mean becoming complacent or ignoring areas where you need improvement. It means understanding that who you are right now is the foundation, not the limitation. Growth is not about fixing yourself because you are broken. It is about refining yourself because you recognize your potential. When you accept yourself fully, you stop wasting energy on self-criticism, on guilt, on trying to be someone you are not. Instead, you direct that energy into becoming the best version of yourself. The greatest barrier to growth is resistance. When you resist who you are, when you refuse to acknowledge your emotions, your fears, and your patterns, you remain stuck. You cannot heal what you do not face. You cannot evolve if you are at war with yourself. But the moment you choose acceptance, everything shifts. You begin to work with yourself instead of against yourself. You stop seeking external validation because you realize your worth is not dependent on other people's approval. Growth is a process of expansion, and expansion requires a solid foundation. That foundation is built on self-awareness, on understanding your own patterns, on accepting your experiences without shame. The past does not define you, but your relationship with it does. If you look at your past with regret, if you see your mistakes as proof of failure instead of stepping stones to wisdom, you remain trapped. but when you accept every experience as a lesson, when you choose to see your journey as necessary, you free yourself to move forward with power. When you accept yourself, you stop making choices out of fear. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You stop allowing other people's opinions to dictate your path. You develop the confidence to take risks, to step into new opportunities, to pursue your purpose without hesitation. Self-acceptance allows you to own your journey fully. It gives you the strength to set boundaries, to walk away from anything that no longer aligns with your vision, to demand more for yourself because you finally believe you deserve it. The people who grow the most are not the ones who pretend to have it all together. They are the ones who are willing to face themselves honestly. They are the ones who acknowledge their fears but do not let them control their actions. They are the ones who recognize their weaknesses but do not allow them to define their future. They accept themselves, flaws and all, and that acceptance gives them the freedom to evolve without limitation. Growth is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you truly are. It is about removing the layers of self-doubt, of conditioning, of limiting beliefs that have kept you small. The moment you accept yourself fully, the moment you embrace everything that makes you who you are, you unlock the ability to grow beyond anything you ever imagined. Thank you.